Good morning, happy Christmas. Welcome to breakfast on an exceptional Christmas day and the end of an extraordinary year. These are our headlines. A deal on Brexit. The Prime Minister shows off the 500-page agreement in a social media video and recommends it as post-Christmas lunch reading. An extra 800 military personnel are deployed in Kent to help clear the backlog of lorries waiting to cross to France. We're live in Dover with the latest. A message of hope from Captain Sir Tom as he reflects on a Christmas when millions are separated from loved ones.
This year, of course, with things as they are, it can't be quite the same for everyone. But things will get better and next year will be all right.
Rugby star Rob Burrow looks back on a year living with motor neuron disease. And the tale of two young lads supporting their local hospital and how we surprised them with a new celebrity supporter.
Good morning. It is a chilly start to this Christmas day, but a pretty calm day lies ahead. Look out there, we're going to be battening down the hatches for Storm Bella on Boxing Day. It's all happening here. More coming up.
Very good morning to you. It's a Friday, 25th of December, Christmas Day. For many of us, of course, it is very different to what we're used to. Coming up here on the programme, we're here for you. We've got heartwarming stories, a catch-up with some old friends of the programme and plenty of festive cheer. Of course, the news as well, our main story for you. After the UK and European Union secured a Brexit trade deal, politicians, diplomats and businesses will begin examining the details. MPs here are expected to vote on the agreement on Wednesday. Our political correspondent, Helen Catt, has more.
It's little wonder that he looked so pleased. This was a big moment, a deal done after 9 months of talks and years of divisive debate.
I'm very pleased to tell you this afternoon that we have completed the biggest trade deal yet, worth £660 billion a year, a comprehensive Canada-style free trade deal between the UK and the EU.
In the EU, the tone was more muted, but they too say they got a good deal in the end.
So we have finally found an agreement. It was a long and winding road, but we have got a good deal to show for it. It is fair, it is a balanced deal, and it is the right and responsible thing to do for both sides.
3, 2, 1.
The UK left the EU back in January, but nothing really changed as we've been in a transition period ever since. This deal sets out how the UK will trade and cooperate on security from next Friday, when that ends. On Wednesday, MPs and peers will be called back from the Christmas break to debate it. Between now and then, the hundreds of pages that make up the deal will be carefully pored over by many. Labour has said it will back it, as it says, the only alternative to no deal.
When this deal comes before Parliament, Labour will accept it and vote for it. But let me be absolutely clear and say directly to the government, up against no deal, we accept this deal. But the consequences of it are yours, and yours alone, and we will hold you to account for it.
Even with this agreement, things are going to change. Freedom of movement will end after next Thursday. Trading with the EU won't be as easy as it was. What this deal will do is avoid more significant disruption and prevent customs taxes being put on goods. The deal that was never certain to happen has now been done. Unwrapping what's in it, well, that's just about to start. Helen Catt, BBC News, Westminster.
Well, last night, the Prime Minister gave us the first glimpse of the Brexit deal that was agreed with the EU following months of negotiations. In a video posted on Twitter, Boris Johnson held up the draft document, which is thought to be around 500 pages long.
I have a small present for anyone who may be looking for something to read in that sleepy post-Christmas lunch moment. And here it is. Tidings, glad tidings of great joy, because this is a deal to give certainty to business and travellers and all investors in our country from the 1st of January, a deal with our friends and partners in the EU.
Thousands of lorry drivers face spending Christmas Day in their cabs near Dover. An extra 800 military personnel are being deployed to help clear the backlog of lorries waiting to cross the Channel. Our correspondent Emma Simpson has more.
Driving home for Christmas. Well, some of them at least. The drivers tested and COVID-free. Lorries finally on their way. But many drivers still left behind here at Manston Airfield and desperate to get home.
It's for France, because France make a new law and it's impossible to come back to Europe.
Lorries still stacked up on the motorway and dotted around the county. More gridlock in Dover too. A Christmas this town won't forget, but things are improving. They're boosting testing capacity. These are French firefighters. They arrived to lend a hand.
The key thing is making certain that we get the testing going properly. And what that means is that we're achieving the throughputs that will keep the ferries full. And we're not hitting those levels yet. Until we hit those levels, we can't make an estimate of how long it's going to take.
The lorries keep on coming. The port is now working through Christmas Day to try to clear the backlog on this crucial trade route. Emma Simpson, BBC News, Dover.
Churches across the UK will be holding scaled-back Christmas celebrations today. The Archbishop of Canterbury has said elderly and vulnerable churchgoers should consider the risks and not feel obliged to go to church. Even for those that do go, services will feel very different and many will be broadcast online. Harry Farley reports.
The darkness is deep, yet light penetrates this darkness.
A homily to an empty building. Midnight Mass at Westminster Cathedral last night was streamed online, but members of the public were not allowed to attend. Earlier, Cardinal Vincent Nichols had presided at an afternoon service with strict social distancing in place. But cathedral staff feared the popular midnight Mass service would attract crowds and moved the service online.
At the Vatican later today, Pope Francis will deliver his Christmas message indoors, not from the balcony of St. Peter's. And here at Westminster Cathedral, Cardinal Nichols said the crisis was a crossroads in our history.
Have we not seen in these months of difficulty, they're marked by countless acts of random kindness, quiet heroism, selfless service, remarkable community efforts, all directed to those most in need.
Later today, the Archbishop of Canterbury is expected to say that the darkness of this year will not overcome the light of Christ's birth. That service, like this one in Westminster, will be broadcast online. Across the country, thousands will, for the first time today, tune in to Christmas celebrations being live-streamed from their local church, rather than attending in person. For those here at Westminster Cathedral, despite the distanced chairs and limited numbers, it was a moment of solace at the end of a difficult year. Harry Farley, BBC News at Westminster Cathedral.
The UK's biggest testing lab has been hit by an outbreak of coronavirus. A number of scientists at the Lighthouse Laboratory in Milton Keynes are believed to have been affected, along with admin and warehouse staff. The lab, which is being asked to process around 70,000 tests a day, say it follows COVID-secure work procedures. More than 1,000 people are being evacuated from a holiday park after heavy rain and flooding. Police and firefighters have been working through the night to rescue those stranded at the Billing Aquadrome in Northampton. 2 leisure centres have been turned into emergency accommodation. There are more than 100 flood warnings in place across parts of England and Wales. I'm having the forecast for you very shortly here on Breakfast. The Queen is expected to focus on the effects of the pandemic in her Christmas broadcast this afternoon. For the first time in more than 30 years, she and the Duke of Edinburgh are spending the festive period at Windsor instead of Sandringham. Our royal correspondent, Nicholas Witchell, has more.
Christmas 2020, a quiet day at home. This was the Queen with members of her family at Windsor Castle just over 2 weeks ago, before the Tier 4 COVID restrictions were announced. There will be no family gatherings at the castle today. Instead, the Queen will spend Christmas Day at Windsor Castle with the Duke of Edinburgh and a small group of staff. It'll be the first time she's spent Christmas at the castle since the 1980s. Back then, the castle was where the family gathered every year for Christmas, but for the past 30 years or so, they've spent Christmas at Sandringham. Those plans were abandoned several weeks ago. So there will be no visit to church for morning service, though the Queen will probably attend a private moment of worship inside the castle. One thing that will take place as normal, the Queen's Christmas broadcast, which at the end of such a difficult year will have an added significance. No details have been made public in advance, but the broadcast will be an opportunity for the Queen to offer a message of thanks and reassurance, just as she did back in April during the first wave of the pandemic.
We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again. But for now, I send my thanks and warmest good wishes to you all.
The Queen's Christmas broadcast will be transmitted on radio and television and online. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.